my name is Kat. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new. I talk all things faith, lifestyle, and everything in between. And today we are talking about a topic that is really, really close to my heart. It's something that I haven't particularly spoken about a lot recently, or ever. I've started talking about it a bit on my TikTok, and this video is kind of better in long form because there's a lot that I can't make this video in short form content. I just don't think it's possible. So grab yourselves a drink and a snack if you like. And today we are going to talk about my dad's cancer journey. There's obviously a reason why I haven't spoken much about my dad's cancer journey. It's something that's really personal, very private, but it just feels like this is honestly the time to share. Before, I don't want this all to be about cancer, which may sound insane when I'm saying this is my dad's cancer journey, but what I mean is I don't want cancer to be the only thing I talk about in this video. I want it to be cancer in terms of my dad as a person. And so I'm going to start off by just telling you a bit about my dad, about the person he is and the person he was, and just my dad. So my dad is 67, and my whole life my dad's been really active. He runs, he was running, he was swimming at least 4 to 5 times a week. He loved running and swimming, and any chance to get active he would do it. That was really his thing. Running, especially, our whole street, everyone down our street knows my dad for running. Everyone would see him out running in the mornings. Even on Christmas Day, my dad would be out there doing a run in the morning. That's just the kind of person he is. But he's funny. Not in a normal kind of funny, in a dad kind of funny, a cringy, laughs at his own jokes, dad funny. And what I love most, that I think makes it funnier, is he'll make a joke and then he won't laugh at it immediately, but he'll kind of do this cheeky little smile, like a little kid that's just really pleased with themselves, and then he'll start giggling. It's just so childish and I love it. And he loves, he's passionate, you know. If he loves you, he loves you fiercely and he protects you, and that's the kind of person he's always been. And he's an amazing dad. He's always been such an amazing dad. It's funny because my parents have a 10-year age gap, so my mum and dad didn't meet until my mum was 26 and my dad, no, 24, 25. My mum was. They got married when my mum was 26. So my dad was 36, and by that point my dad had thought that the whole like wife and kids thing wasn't happening for him. He even had like bets on it with his friends, and it's so funny because I think my dad was made to be a dad. I think he was born to have kids and this little family we have. There's only me, my mum, my dad and my brother, but he loves us and he loves our little family. And it's insane to me to think there was a time that he didn't think he was going to get this, because this is really, you know, this is where he belonged and this is what he was meant to have and meant to do. And I know that sounds like really insane to say, but I just truly believe that my dad was born to be my dad. Now, I'm going to move on to a not so positive topic. I'm going to just do a quick walkthrough for you guys of my dad's cancer timeline. So I'm going to take you guys back to July 2023. July 2023 was a big year for me and my dad. A big month, I mean, for me and my dad. I graduated from my undergrad and my dad retired after like 50 years of being an accountant. And so there was a lot of change going on in our family, but my dad just started to not feel right. He started to get a bit more breathless when he was running, and my mum just kind of encouraged him just to go get that checked out, and you know, if it's nothing, it's nothing, and she was wrong. So he goes, they refer him to ear, nose and throat, and he also ended up in A&E at one point because they thought he had angina, which is like a heart thing. They referred him to the heart clinic, but they told him that in the meantime, so this is about October, they said no more exercise. So October 2023, my dad stops running, stops swimming, stops everything, which makes him miserable because, like I said, he loves these things. These are his passions, and now he's not working and he can't even do these things that he loves. ENT don't find anything, they rule out angina, and in November my parents go back to the doctors and are like, this is still going on, it's actually getting worse, it's not this, where can we go? And the GP basically says, I'm going to send you to diagnostic oncology. The role of diagnostic oncology as a department is quite literally, as it sounds, they diagnose cancer. They either decide you have cancer or you don't have cancer. They don't treat it, they don't look for other health conditions. You know, if they find something, fine, but their role is to look for and to hopefully find or not find cancer. And that's where they go. And they're like, look, we're just ruling it out. If it's not cancer, great. If it is, we'll deal with it. So my dad goes for some more tests, some more scans, and on December 28th, 2023, we found out that my dad had cancer, which was insane, and it took a bit longer because of Christmas and New Year's. And they basically said, like, there's not much we can tell you. It's a rare cancer. We don't know how to treat it here. And basically the way it works in the NHS is if you have a rare type of cancer, the type of cancer my dad has is called neuroendocrine cancer. Neuroendocrine cancer affects about 1 in 6,000 people in the UK every year, which may not seem like that many, but when you take into consider other statistics, like 1 in 2 people will get cancer, it's a lot less when it's 1 in 6,000 for NETs. But this cancer's, our local hospital doesn't know how to treat it, and so the NHS protocol for this is you are sent to a centre of excellence within the system. In January, I cannot remember the date exactly, we have a clinic appointment at the Centre of Excellence Hospital. We've not really had much information about my dad's cancer at this point because our previous hospital couldn't tell us much about it, and they kind of urged us not to go googling because we knew the wait for an appointment might be a bit longer. They basically were like, we wouldn't go googling it, it may scare you, there's a lot of stuff out there, it, you know, essentially take the internet with a pinch of salt, try not to Google too much because then you'll just think the worst, which is true. So in January, my entire family, my mum, my dad, my brother and me, we all head to this appointment together, as we do everything together, to see a specialist about my dad's cancer. My dad asks at this appointment, how are they going to treat it? Can they get rid of it? And like, what's happening? At this point, in January 2024, we found out that because of the placement of my dad's cancer, so he has a grade 3 atypical lung neuroendocrine tumour. It's not in his lung, it's about here in his chest, but because of where it's located, it's around vessels, it's near his heart, it's near all like the breathing stuff. They could not remove it. There was no way of getting rid of it completely. So this was an incurable and an inoperable cancer. And we also, he asked how long, and in January we were told that generally people with a NET tumour this grade can live 3 to 5 years with treatment. So there is some positive, there is some light at the end of the tunnel for us, and we go away scared, really scared, but positive, and there's some plans in place. So at this point my dad was to have 1 lanreotide injection. Lanreotide is a drug that is used basically to stop this type of tumour from growing. So they started him on that, and then they wanted a PET scan, which normally you would get before the lanreotide, but because of the timings, they just started the lanreotide and we had to have the PET scan. A PET scan is like, they scan for cancer, they inject you with like this mad medicine. I don't really know what it is, I just know it comes in like a lead-lined box. It's kind of dangerous otherwise. They inject it into you, and what that injection should do is it should travel to the cancer cells and make them light up in the scan. My dad's didn't light up. There was definitely cancer there, but it didn't light up, and this meant that my dad's tumours were what they call receptor negative. This means that either aren't receptors or the receptors are hiding. This is still something we don't know which one it is, which makes everything a bit harder, and it means that the lanreotide injections will not work. So we stop lanreotide and they have to go back to the drawing board. At this point, there's a few suggestions. This is February, March time. There's a few suggestions of what we can do. There's a few suggestions of treatments, but nothing's like set in place yet. And there's a talk about doing some research. But one day the consultant calls my dad on the phone just out of the blue and realises how breathless he is. And she decides that it would be a good idea to do some radiotherapy to try and shrink the tumour before they focus on trying to just stop it growing. They should try and shrink it first with radiotherapy. So we get referred to radiotherapy, and around June, July time, my dad has a 12-week course of radiotherapy. So not 12-week, a 12-session course of radiotherapy. So 12 sessions of radiotherapy just means every single day, bar weekends, for 12 days, you go in and they kind of shoot your body, or they direct it at a certain spot. You get these little, like, it's a tattoo, but it's just a spot. You get shot with rays. I don't know, I'm not a doctor. They shoot this radiotherapy at you, and that should shrink the tumour. It can take up to a month after radiotherapy, it can still work. So at this point we're a year in, and we're a year in from like the first symptoms, and we wait the extra month, we go in. We kind of already knew because of how my dad was, but it's confirmed that the radiotherapy did not work. It did not shrink the tumour. It had actually, the tumour had grown. We suspected this. My dad's breathing had got worse. It was harder for him to drink, to eat, to swallow. By this point, my dad was already on meal replacement drinks because he wasn't eating enough. And he was already on painkillers. So my dad takes Oromorph, which is a morphine-based painkiller. He's now on way more than that, but that's what he was on at the time. And we start talking about other options. At this point, my dad is tired. My dad is not used to being in pain. This is not a situation he imagined himself in. This is not what he imagined his retirement being like. So we go through and we get some suggestions of other treatment options. And in the end, the last treatment option that we got given was an aggressive form of chemotherapy that they would do at half dose because my dad has lost so much weight. But we only had about a week to decide because they thought that after that week he wouldn't be strong enough to handle it. But in the end, my dad decided to withdraw from all treatment and to start the palliative care route. And this starts the portion of the timeline that we are on now. My dad made this decision September, October time, and we are now fully in palliative care. Palliative care is basically the treatment and the care you are under, the care team you are under when you are on an end of life pathway, when you are going to die and they know you're going to die and they want to help you be as comfortable and pain-free as possible during that process. And that's what we're doing right now. We have plans for my dad to go into hospice. They have been amazing with pain care help and emotional support, not just for my dad but for my family as well. Equipment. My dad stopped being able to get upstairs a ton and he was struggling to sleep, and so they got him a hospital bed that we have downstairs. You know, they've got him something to help him shower. Like, there's so much, and they've been so amazing and we are so incredibly grateful for them. There are other things that you may think I've potentially rushed through some of the earlier part of the story and the treatment part of the story. There is a reason for this that I cannot talk about, but our current situation is the palliative care team, and I just want to take a minute to sing their praises because these people are amazing. What they do is brilliant. They honestly, I cannot even put into words how amazing these people are, that they do this day in and day out and they support you and they know you and they build such a relationship with you that you have so much trust for them. And I am so grateful that these people exist, honestly. It's hard, you know, as you can tell from at the beginning of this video when I was telling you a bit about my dad. A lot has changed for us in the last 12 months. A lot has changed for my dad in the last 12 months. And I could never have imagined at 23, you know, less than a year out of my degree, living at home and caring for my dad while he's dying. Like, this is just not a situation I would have ever imagined myself in. I will say, however, that I consider it a privilege to care for my dad. It's not a situation I want to be in. It's obviously not a situation he wants to be in. But doing my part to look after him in this time is really important to me. I do also think it's important to mention that, like, it's okay to accept help. You know, we have carers who come in and help us. We have the nurses, we have friends, and all these people and family that are helping us through this, and it is totally okay to accept help. And it can feel hard sometimes to accept that help, but this is a battle that no one has to fight alone. Even if you don't have friends and family to support you, district nurses, carers, palliative care teams, these people are amazing and they have dedicated their lives to helping people, they are brilliant. And I don't think we'd get through this process without these people here. And I feel so incredibly sorry for anyone who's gone through this without them. And I am in awe of you, because I do not know how I would do it without them. And I'm just going to take a minute now to kind of tell you how I have coped with this, and a bit about my journey with my dad's diagnosis, because I think it's important to accept and important to draw upon the fact that, like, the person with cancer is not the only person affected by cancer, and the people around that person will be affected by the cancer for longer than the person who has it. You know, my dad, there will come a time when my dad will not be here anymore, and this experience and what has happened this past year will still be something that I am working through, that my mum is working through, my brother's working through. It's something that will stay with us, and we will keep needing to deconstruct, maybe for years. This isn't an easy thing, but I want anyone who's out there doing this to know you are not alone. You are not selfish for thinking about yourself and how this situation will affect you, because it will, and it does, and that's okay. It's hard, and it's so okay to cry. I am someone who is I'm emotional, I'm a crier, I cry a lot, and I cried the first month, maybe more. I cried every single day, and then I kind of had a bit of a better handle on it for a while, and then my dad started getting worse, and I went back to crying every day. And that's okay, because this is really hard. It's hard to watch someone that you love slowly fade away into a person that you barely recognize. It's a really difficult thing to do, and if you're doing it, you are so strong, because it is. You have to be strong to do this. Crying doesn't make you weak. Having emotions doesn't make you weak. You're allowed to feel your feelings as well during this time. And for me, I cried a lot. I really struggled coming to terms with it. And then I started leaning back on God. I started leaning back on my faith and trusting that Jesus had a plan, which I know may sound insane to some of you, being like, how could you possibly think that your dad getting cancer is part of God's plan? And I can't tell you what I think, what reason there is, but I know that God has a plan, and there will be a reason, there will be some reason why this is all happening, and there will be something that will come out of it. That is why God is doing this, and I just need to trust him. And I don't know if that sounds naive or childish, but that's how I get through. And I also get through a lot by thinking that this isn't the end. You know, when my dad does leave this world, that's not the end for him, that's just the start. And he is going to go up to heaven, and he's going to get to run again, and he's going to see people he loves, and he's going to be there when I get there, hopefully many years from now. And I'm going to end on this story, because I think this is a really lovely story to end with. On that first appointment when we went to the specialist, I told my dad, I said, I know you're going to run again one day, and when you do, you can give me a big sweaty hug. My whole life, when my dad went running, he would come back sweaty, like dripping in sweat, and he would try and hug me, and obviously I would run away because no one wants that sweaty hug. And I said to him, I promised him when you next go on a run, I will take that sweaty hug gladly. What I didn't realise when I said that to him in January was that I will be waiting a long time for that sweaty hug, but it will be so worth it. When that day comes and God calls me home as well, I know my dad's gonna be standing there ready to give me the biggest, sweatiest hug he has going, and I am looking forward to that, and I hold that in my mind through all of this, that he will be well up there, that he will be able to do those things that he misses, that he loves, and that one day I will get that hug. So that is my dad's cancer journey. That is where we're at. I am going to make a few more videos on my dad's cancer journey and our experience. So if there's anything you want to know, anything you want me to talk about to do with this, do leave it in the comments below and I will try to get to it. If you have found this video useful, please do subscribe and like the video. I do have some cheerier content both on my YouTube channel and on my other social media sites. I post a lot on TikTok and you can find all my links in my link tree. I hope you have an amazing and blessed day, week, month and year.